In the top stories, Health Ministry condemns fake news, Grenada seeks Cuba medicine, and Trump seeks money for U.S. citizens as coronavirus deaths hit 100. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday newscast. Today is Wednesday, March 18th, 2020. I am your presenter, Shaira Flanders. Nationally, the Ministry of Health has condemned false information claiming a case of coronavirus that has been circulating on social media. A statement issued on Tuesday evening said, quote, "The Office of the Chief Medical Officer would like to advise that as of 3 p.m. March 17, 2020, there has been no confirmed cases of the coronavirus or COVID-19 in St. Kitts, Nevis," end quote. Chief Medical Officer in the Ministry of Health, Dr. ZIZOnline, has repeatedly debunked claims of the virus being in St. Kitts and Nevis. At a town hall meeting held at Newton Ground Primary on Tuesday to update residents on the coronavirus, the CMO reiterated that at present there are no reported cases of the coronavirus in St. Kitts and Nevis.
The virus is fast approaching. It's not a matter of if it will get here, it's a matter of when. However, I want to state emphatically, to date, St. Kitts and Nevis does not have any reported cases of COVID-19.
That was Chief Medical Officer in the Ministry of Health, Dr. ZIZOnline. In other news, on Tuesday, March 17th, Alexander Samuel of Connery Village was formally charged for the offenses of discharging a loaded firearm in a public place, possession of firearm, possession of ammunition, and possession of firearm with intent to endanger life. He remains in police custody. According to reports, sometime after 7 a.m. on Sunday, the rider of a motorcycle fired gunshots into the air along the stretch of Keon Street leading up to the Queen Victoria roundabout. The High Command has since issued a statement regarding the incident saying, quote, "We will not tolerate any act of violence. The mere fact that this individual was brazen enough to conduct himself in this way in the vicinity of a police station shows a lack of respect for the law enforcement personnel, and society. The High Command condemns this irresponsible and disrespectful act," end quote. The statement continued, quote, "During this period when the Federation is experiencing decreased levels in violent crimes and a renewed sense of peace, we want to send a strong message to the perpetrators of crime that any disruption to the peace will be stamped out," end quote. The Keon High School is taking a proactive approach as it joins the global efforts to limit the spread of the coronavirus or COVID-19. The school's staff and students have pledged to take multiple steps to prevent its students from contracting and spreading the virus. In a post on the school's official Facebook page, the plans outlined include a "I washed my hands" drive, where at different points during the school day, students and their form teachers and year heads would move to designated areas to wash their hands. There are also plans in place for cleaners to be on an hourly schedule to clean and disinfect bathrooms, countertops, and doorknobs. Year heads and form teachers will educate students on what is the COVID-19, its effects, how it is transmitted, and they can work together to flatten the curve. On the regional scene, Grenada is seeking the assistance of the Cuban government for supplies of its newly developed medicine to treat COVID-19.
Health Minister Nicholas Steele says Grenada has requested from the Cuban government newly developed medicine to treat COVID-19. The move is to explore all possibilities in the fight against the coronavirus as Grenada continues to prepare for any outbreak. He explained that government wants to make sure they have all tools possible in the event of a severe outbreak of the virus.
The Cuban pharmaceutical product known as interferon that you have heard discussions on social media about, we have discussed and reached out with the government of Cuba through their embassy here and are in the process of ensuring that that medication is on island shortly. I want to be specific and say that it is a new drug, but we have decided to make sure that we have all tools possible.
Grenada will also be receiving a medical team from Cuba to strengthen the level of human resources within the Ministry of Health to fight COVID-19. Minister Steele says the team is expected to arrive in Grenada soon.
We also have a Cuban medical team that is scheduled to arrive here on Saturday to help assist. These will include doctors and nurses specifically trained in accident and emergency intensive care, as well as infectious diseases. And we continue to request more.
The Minister of Health was speaking at Tuesday's post-cabinet briefing. For GBN News, I am Rina Pear reporting.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago says it is aware that approximately 70 Trinidad and Tobago nationals are on board a cruise ship moored in Guadeloupe waters. It is suspected that there were persons on board the vessel who tested positive for the COVID-19 virus, and government is working with officials in Guadeloupe to get those nationals home. Here's more.
Both the Ministry of Health and Ministry of National Security says they are prepared to receive the nationals on board the Costa Fabulosa, a cruise ship which at this time is anchored in waters off Guadeloupe. 70 Trinidadians remain stranded, and relatives of those on board are expressing concern about the uncertainty surrounding their return. Unconfirmed reports are that there are persons on board the vessel who have tested positive for COVID-19. The relative of an elderly Trinidadian couple on board is pleading with government to intervene and bring her parents home. She told TTT News her father, a 70-year-old diabetic, has run out of his medication and collapsed on Monday after falling ill. She said both her parents have so far tested negative for COVID-19, but her father needs access to his medication and is longing to be home.
My dad is very weak. He is dependent of the drip to give him energy, as he's diabetic and his medication has totally run out. This is mainly because the cruise went on for more than it was expected to be. So after speaking to my mom over this 4-day period, the passengers are very uneasy. They really just want to come home. I mean, this is elderly people. They want to come home. They want to get their meds. They want to see their family. The cruise has expired, and they, as nationals, they just really want to get back here.
The woman said there is no confirmation that the nationals on board will be given the opportunity to disembark or be accommodated at a hotel. She explained that basic essentials such as water are being rationed and the situation is deteriorating quickly.
I'm making an appeal to the Minister of National Security, Mr. Stuart Young, the Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, and anyone else who will be able to have these nationals come home. I mean, they are very sick. Some of them they just want to come home.
But in a release issued on Tuesday, the National Security Ministry states that government is in communication with the French authorities to get accurate information on the status of nationals on the ship and how the authorities plan to treat with the situation. The release adds that government plans to repatriate the Trinidad and Tobago nationals. The TNT nationals were scheduled to arrive on March 16th, but has since been delayed. Crystal Wilson, TTT News.
On the international scene, the Trump administration has proposed more than $1 trillion package to cushion the economic blow of the coronavirus pandemic. Here's more.
At polling stations in Florida, Arizona and Illinois, it wasn't just the democratic process officials were concerned about. The rapid spread of the coronavirus saw low voter turnout, furious cleaning and polling staff not manning the booths over health concerns. Many voted early or by mail, but those that turned out on Tuesday were cautious.
If anyone looks sick or appears sick, stay away. Other than that, that's the best you can do.
All you can do is just try to stay clean, wash your hands, limit any public interaction if you can. I mean, I'm going to go home after this. I'm not really going to be out hanging out with people, so.
Officials in Ohio declared a health emergency, delaying their primary until June. The state's governor called it an unprecedented health crisis that left some voters disappointed.
I really wanted to vote. I wanted to make sure my voice is heard, especially, from all the years back in the past where African Americans couldn't vote. So,
despite the confusion, concerns and recommendations not to gather in large crowds, the night belonged to Joe Biden. The former vice president now has the momentum, delegate counts, and is seen by many as best able to take on President Trump.
We're all in this together. This is a moment for each of us to see and believe the best in every one of us, to look out for our neighbor, to understand the fear and stress that so many are feeling.
Biden now has a near insurmountable lead over Bernie Sanders. He didn't address his losses on Tuesday, instead appealing for more federal help for the pandemic.
We need to provide a direct emergency $2,000 cash payment to every household in America every month for the duration of the crisis to provide them with the assistance they need to pay their bills and take care of their families.
In his remote address to the nation, Joe Biden spoke directly to Sanders supporters, telling them, "I hear you." Sanders' movement is still a powerful force, and Biden's appeal is perhaps a sign of things to come. The former vice president wants to unite both the country and the party, and to do that, he'll need those supporters on board. Andy Gallagher, Al Jazeera, Miami, Florida.
U.S. former Vice President Joe Biden has scored major victories in Democratic primaries across 3 states despite the coronavirus outbreak. The details now.
As ordinary Americans cope with the economic impacts of coronavirus, the White House announced it was pushing Congress to make immediate cash payments to struggling Americans.
What we've heard from hardworking Americans, many companies have now shut down, whether it's bars or restaurants. Americans need cash now, and the president wants to get cash now. And I mean now, in the next 2 weeks.
Congress has already put forward a bill to provide sick leave, as well as food assistance to children and the elderly. It still needs to pass the Republican-controlled Senate before U.S. President Donald Trump can sign it into law. But the new proposed payments, which also need to be approved by Congress, would be part of a package worth more than $1 trillion. That will include help for the airline and other industries hit hard by the slowdown in business.
This is worse than 9/11. For the airline industry,
we're going big with this invisible enemy. We don't want airlines going out of business. We don't want people losing their jobs.
The hotel industry has also been hard hit. On Tuesday, Marriott, the world's largest hotel company, started furloughing thousands of employees as their hotels see fewer customers. But it's not just the economy that has the White House worried. It says public health remains a priority. On standby in New York, the Army Corps of Engineers to increase hospital capacity in response to the pandemic. New York remains one of the states with a high cluster of coronavirus cases.
My hunch is it would probably be quicker if it's done at the state or local level. But if we can do it quicker, we're prepared to do that. But I think at this point, the key is speed.
Still, there are signs it will be weeks, if not months, before life returns to normal. Beloved events like the Kentucky Derby horse race now delayed until September. And in an election year, the Ohio presidential nominating contest was also called off. The American Red Cross on Tuesday also put out a call for blood donations.
The coronavirus task force here at the White House says the next 2 weeks will be critical for containing the virus. That's why it's urging young people to abide by public health warnings to ensure more vulnerable Americans aren't exposed. Kimberly Helkett, Al Jazeera, the White House.
And now for the weather. Present weather is partly cloudy. A gentle breeze of 12 miles per hour is blowing from the north. Temperature today will peak at 25 degrees Celsius. Sunset today will be at 6:22 p.m. and the sun is expected to rise tomorrow at 6:15 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday newscast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your presenter, Shaira Flanders. Have a good one.